Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast, unraveling breast implant illness, sharing stories of women who went from victim to victor, interviewing doctors with their insight, and sharing hope and tools to reclaim health. Here's your hosts, Wendy Bunnell, Lacey Smoot, and Brandy Vega. And as always, we want to make sure you know that this podcast is not intended for the purpose of providing medical advice. All information, content, and material of this podcast is for informational purposes only. Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast. I am incredibly honored to have the beautiful, the one, the only Lacey Marie in the studio today. Woohoo! And I have to tell you, Lacey, I love your hair so much. I am like, I've got a girl crush on your hair and your beauty.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I love my hair too. It makes life way easier because you never know if I fix it or if I just rolled out of bed. You never know.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I have to tell you, I've tried short hair, and because of the shape of my face, I look like a bowling ball. So it just doesn't work. I've tried it and tried it and tried it. So there you go. But that's okay. It looks beautiful on you. I'm okay. I'm fine with a little longer hair. And the exciting is it's starting to grow in more. I've got all of this like new growth happening. So I'm excited about that because I was losing hair in chunks before the explant. So yeah, super, super excited about that. Anyways, Lacey, tell everyone a little short snippet about you. Tell us about Lacey Marie.
Okay, you guys, I am Lacey Marie, and I am just as crazy and wild and fun as my hair looks, right?
Right.
No, but in all seriousness, I am a breast illness implant survivor. I also am recently married, and we're blending a massive, large family to the point that we have 13 kids, 4 grandbabies, and a dog.
What the hey? I thought I had a lot with 6 kids and 9 grandkids, and look at you. They're going to look at you and go, there's no way. There's no way she has grandchildren, and there's no way that she has 13 kids. So.
Well, I did not birth all of them. We are blending a family, and I did marry up. My husband is just a little bit older than I, so I got to inherit some pretty awesome grandkids, but I claim all of them.
That is fantastic. Wow. Busy. And look, it's quiet at your house right now. So we better get this party started.
For sure.
As other littles start coming home, we're not interrupted, but so incredibly honored to have you here. And your story is really kind of unique in terms of it's not the everyday story. And I shouldn't say everyday because I don't think breast implant illness is every day. But every story is powerful and every story is needed. And every woman has a journey that is important. But I think yours is a little bit different because you decided to not only explant your breast implants, but you decided to go completely flat. Is that right?
I did, yes.
So tell us about that. Tell us how this all started, because I know there's listeners out there going, what did you do and why and how? And all of those questions are probably been thrown at you for many, many months. So you're most likely very aware of what the questions are, but how did this all begin?
Yes. Well, it began by me trying to fix things. Okay. So that's why I got breast implants, because my life, I felt like it was falling apart. So I thought, cool, I'm going to get breast implants. I'm going to be better, and things are just going to fix themselves. And then it started down the journey that I've heard of so many people sharing, that all of a sudden then they had a mysterious illness and all of these symptoms. And I did too. That started, and we literally had no idea what it was. Mm-hmm. So here I was in a broken marriage. I had little kids. I had these breast implants. I had these mysterious mysterious symptoms. And it got so bad that I was to the point I was in a hospital, and the doctor came in. I remember at the time I was just below 80 pounds. And I remember feeling how it just hurt to do anything, to be touched, to lay in a bed. Like I just hurt. And the doctor told me it was time. It was time to start planning my funeral. And through a series of events, I was like, I am not okay with this. Like, this is not what I'm going to do. From that point, very soon after, I ended up divorced, living back with my parents. They were helping take care of me and my kids. And we were just doing the best that we could to figure things out. And that's when I learned about breast implant illness. But I ran into yet another roadblock because I was a single mom and I didn't have the funds to get an explant. And I was kind of frustrated that I was, stuck in this position. And things just kind of continued and evolved. And through whatever, I was able to continue surviving. My symptoms didn't go away, but they did improve. They got a little bit better, and I learned better how to cope with them. So I was able to function some days. Okay.
Yeah. No, I get that, sister. I do.
So when I got my divorce, I just kind of stopped trying so hard, stopped trying to be perfect, stopped trying to fix things, stopped trying to do everything. And so there was a part of me that healed from that. And I was able to put on some weight in the end, get a little bit of my health back, but it was still a massive roller coaster. And through all of this, I still am not even sure exactly how it happened, but I'm glad it did. But through all of this, I ended up meeting a guy, falling in love, and I say we live happily ever after, right? But that's like still just we're getting there. But it was just probably about 2 months after our wedding, and I started getting just this really, really intense pain in my right breast. And that struck a lot of fear in me all of a sudden, because when I got this pain, I started going to the doctors and they couldn't explain it. And my mammogram wouldn't show much because my breast implant was in the way. So we did ultrasounds and MRIs, and I still wasn't able to get a diagnosis because my breast tissue was so dense. They couldn't see anything.
Wow.
And so that was really scary. So I'm going through this going, okay, I have this intense pain that nobody can explain. And I instantly went to, is it cancer? Is it cancer? Because they can't see anything. I have all of these weird symptoms, like my joints hurt, my hair is falling out, my skin itches. I remember describing to my mom, I said, Mom, it feels like somebody poured acid in my veins and I am burning from the inside out.
Oh, that's a perfect way to say it, because you try to explain like every nerve ending is on fire, and that is a perfect way to describe it. And it's so interesting that you're talking about planning your funeral. You're talking about there's something wrong. Maybe it's cancer, because I hear this all the time. As we're putting the pieces together, we're like, nobody has this many symptoms. Nobody has this many things that are going wrong with them. It's got to be something bigger, right? It's got to be something inside of me. So you're thinking maybe it's cancer.
And that was instantly all of my family and it was our first reaction to think that, because I have 6 relatives who have had cancer.
Wow.
All very young. Some of them beat it, some of them did not. And so that is a very real concern for me. So when I was having this pain in my breast, I was like I was incredibly frustrated, because I'm like, I'm finally happy. I'm in this good marriage. Like, can I please just try to get through some life with some joy? And then this pain hit, and then they couldn't get it diagnosed. So the doctors recommended that I get genetic testing. It was like, you know what, you have a massive family history of cancer. Let's do genetic testing. So we did. And and it came back that I had 2 genetic markers for cancer specific to the breasts.
Wow. What was that like when you got those results?
It was hard. It was really interesting. And because watching so many family members go through cancer, you kind of figure that the odds are not in your favor, right? You kind of figure, but until you hear those words that you have 2 markers for cancer, I've got to put this out here because I get asked all the time, and it's kind of interesting because people say, oh, so you have the BRCA gene. No, I don't. It's not they're not, the genetic markers that I carry or that I have are not as well known as the BRCAs.
Gotcha.
And so it took a little bit more digging and research to get a more extensive genetic panel. And that also threw in different conversations with the doctor because it's not as well known. Mm-hmm. So I have a couple that are called the RAD50 and RAD51C. And where those are not as well known, I got to do a lot of research and learn more about those. But it created quite the conversation in our house because then instantly all of my kids were becoming comfortable with knowing genetic testing. We were getting comfortable with the word preventative, to prevent cancer, yeah. And just a lot of things that we wouldn't have normally had the opportunity to talk about.
What a gift. And I believe that any woman that goes through this, if she really looks through her journey, can most likely find so many hidden gems, so many wonderful blessings that were a result. Now, do we want to repeat it? Head to the no, right?
Not at all.
Not at all. So you get these genetic markers. What's your next step? What happens next?
Yeah. So the doctor sat us down, my husband and I, and went over a lot of numbers. And I don't remember all those numbers, but I do remember him saying, Lacey, I would seriously consider a prophylactic mastectomy. It reduced my chances of getting breast or getting cancer. It was like by 90%. It
Wow.
was a massive, it took my breath away in the room, in the doctor's office. But I also sat there and so I hear that 90% and I went, that's what I want, because I've already been sick for years. I don't want to have to go through cancer and fighting. So, okay, I'm going to get rid of my breasts. I'm going to do a prophylactic mastectomy. But then I went, wait a second, what about my implants? What about reconstruction? What do I do? Yeah. Because it has been so mainstream and talked about that when or if you have breast cancer, you have a mastectomy, but then you can get some implants put in fairly easily and you still have the look of breasts. But I knew that wasn't in the cards for me, that I wasn't going to go back down the implant route.
Yeah. Did you know you had breast implant illness during this time?
I had a pretty good idea. I was in a couple Facebook groups, a couple friends had invited me in. I had a pretty good idea, but I was also pretty in denial because I was like, no. They're a medical device. They're studied. They're safe. I've asked every doctor and specialist I've ever been to, and I was very, very much in denial, and that wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah. And in fact, I was surprised when I revisited your Facebook page and it said breast implant illness survivor, because I remember this whole breast cancer scare and you getting ready to take them out and choosing to be flat, but I didn't remember that. And I told you, I think when I was not ready to hear the message about my own issues, that wasn't on the radar for me. It wasn't something that I was even willing to explore. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why this podcast exists, because someone might not be ready to be in a group. Right. Someone might not be even thinking, nah, there's no way. It's something else. I have autoimmune issues. I have Hashimoto's. I have lupus. I have la, right? I have all of these things, not realizing that the root cause is inside of you. And so, anyways, you were in some groups. You really thought that this might be something that you are experiencing. And now you have this other breast cancer scare on top of it. That's pretty massive. That's a lot to take in emotionally, mentally, physically, all of those things. Where were you at? How were you feeling?
I was a hot mess. I'm just going to be honest. I was a hot mess because there was a part of me that was ready to give up one, either my implants or my breasts. Okay. Because I was like, I haven't felt well. Cool. I'll get rid of my implants. Just see if this breast implant illness thing is real, if I get better. But now all of a sudden I have a couple specialist oncologist doctors telling me you really should have a mastectomy. It's your choice, but you need to really consider this. And I felt like I had to choose. I felt like I had to choose. Do I keep my breasts or do I keep my implants? And I was at war with myself for, it was 6 months to a year, I believe, that I went back and forth trying to decide what to do.
Yeah. So when did the download come?
The download came, I remember leaving. I went and met with a general surgeon because I was like, okay, I'm going to get my breasts removed because I've seen cancer. I know what it does. I know what treatment looks like, and I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and met with a general surgeon and just was asking questions about, hey, maybe they can, I don't know, just asking questions, right? And what I found out was that the general surgeon is happy and can come in and remove the breast tissue, but they won't do anything with the implants.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him if he would please just remove my implants, and he's like, no, I won't do that. So at that point, he said, you need to meet with a plastic surgeon. So I met with a plastic surgeon. Well, go back to the general surgeon. In that general surgeon's office, I remember them saying, you actually are pretty lucky that you already have implants because it makes the surgery a lot easier. We can just remove the breast tissue, close you up, and you're good to go. You don't have to go through expanders. You don't have to go through getting implants placed. You don't have to go through any of this stuff. Like, you are good to go. And it like planted this seed that I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm lucky. Maybe this is good, right? Yeah. So I left the office feeling like confused is the best word I can come up with. I was super, super confused. But then as I got home, I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. Like, I've been sick for years. What if it is the breast implants? Mm-hmm. So then I just went crazy and I started researching. I mean, I Googled, I got on Facebook, I looked up everything I could, and I was looking for a different way to have a mastectomy and do reconstruction, because I still hadn't opened up to the idea of having nothing, right?
Yeah. You probably looked at let's do the fat transfer,
Yep.
All of that. Cause I get that a lot as well. Well, what if you still want full breasts? And what about this other technology? And my thought is, don't mess with God anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you already did it and you already lost, right? So why go into battle again?
Right. Well, see, and I was still like debating about it because I'm like, I will literally have nothing. But fat transfer was not an option for me because they would have nowhere to put it because my breast tissue is gone.
Yes.
So they would have nowhere to put it. So I was like, well, crap. So then I looked into a bunch of others. There's like a DIEP flap. And my mom actually went through that surgery, and that's where they'll go down and they'll take a part of your stomach and cut it out and then bring it up and create breasts, reattaching blood vessels and everything. But I remember her going through that surgery, and it was a massive surgery, and we almost lost her. She almost died from this surgery. And so I was like, and there's pros and cons to every surgery, but I was like, yeah, I've seen that one. It's not right for me.
Right.
So then that's when I just started looking for mastectomy with no reconstruction. And I was surprised at what I found. Very surprised.
What were you surprised about? Tell us.
So I all of a sudden just got this download that was like, do you have to even have boobs, Lace? Like, really? Why are you looking for all of these options and all of these things just to make boobs? You've had your kids, you've nursed them, you've played, you've done whatever. Like, do you really even need them? And so that's when I started looking, and I stumbled upon another Facebook group that literally opened my eyes and changed my world. Mm-hmm. This Facebook group was full of women who they were either unable to reconstruct due to cancer treatment, and they just couldn't, or they chose not to. Mm-hmm. And they had chosen to go 100% boobless. They have, so in our community, when you go boobless, you have a mastectomy, we have nothing. There's not any nipple left. There's not any breast tissue. There's nothing. And I sat and watched them for several months.
Mhm.
And it was really interesting to me because, I mean, I heard and I watched their stories of trying to adjust to life without them.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of really heavy, sad stories
Yeah.
of feeling like they were less of a woman, that they weren't attractive, that they couldn't go out in public, that swimming suits, going to the ocean, pools, anything like that is out of the question. And I I remember several nights falling apart and just sobbing with these women, even though they didn't know I was necessarily connecting or watching them or they were teaching me. But I sobbed, and I remember getting really angry one night and talking to my husband and saying, what the hell? These women are beautiful. They are gorgeous. They are amazing. And they have this chance to live life to the fullest without any mammograms or bras or, hey, you need to come back for a biopsy. Like, they don't have to do that anymore. Why can't they see it? Why? And it was just like right then, as I was, having my little meltdown, crying to my husband about these amazing women, that I knew that that was me, and that's what that's what I wanted to do.
Wow. What an amazing, courageous decision you've made. And then to come out and be so vocal as the spokesperson of, you know what? I'm still feminine. I'm still beautiful. I'm still magnificent. And I have no breasts at all, not
Nothing.
even a nipple. And in fact, you showed me, earlier, them, and to be proud in that space and to be able to accept and love you no matter what. I really hope that at the end of the day, this podcast will reinforce that we are perfect with no changes.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing needs to be altered. Whether you are plus size, like 80 pounds, in between, losing hair like I have, 50 or 20, we are magnificent. And to be in a space of accepting ourselves for who we are, how does it feel, Lacey? How does it feel on the other side?
I finally feel alive. Finally. I feel like my body, my soul, my spirit, everything has a new, like, renewed life. Like, I cannot even describe. It feels amazing. Now, I'm not going to lie. There are some hard times. There
For
are some
sure.
times that I like think, did I really make the right choice? Like, I literally have no boobs. Like, was this?
When you're putting clothes on, probably you're like, wait a second, or a bathing suit, right? Like, oh my goodness.
Right. Well, but I have to tell you this, because with my implants, I was a triple D. So
Wow.
I went from a triple D, like a 32 triple D. I'm not a very big frame. I'm 5'2", 130 pounds, and I had these big triple Ds. And to dress around those was so hard, because I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, yeah, I want big boobs, but I don't want to be known for them. Like, I don't want people staring at them. I don't want to draw attention to them, but I want big boobs, right?
Yeah.
And so I would just try to dress around them the best that I could. And it was hard. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
But it's actually easier to dress around no boobs than it was that large of boobs.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm just laughing to myself because I'm still not used to my new size. I mean, we're only 3 months out, right? And the other day, I had an old swimming suit and I went to get in a hot tub with a bunch of friends, and I took my shirt off, and I had a dressing malfunction or a wardrobe malfunction moment where they slipped out, not the whole thing, half just underneath. And I was like, oh, like yeah, it's just, and we all laughed and everything. It was totally fine, but I'm still not used to it. And I come home with these bras and I put them on. My husband's laughing because he's like poking them in. There's like, I could actually go get toilet paper and fill them back up. And
Stuff them,
I
yeah.
forget. It's like it was implanted in my head that I'm this nice full C when really I'm an A, probably a double A, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And still not there, but it makes for a lot of laughter. And
It's so true. And let me tell you guys, bralettes will be your new best friend for anybody small chested or no chested, because that was one of my concerns. Like, Wendy, I was so nervous. And I'm just going to go right into this because I'm like, I was so nervous. How do you remove your breasts and still feel sexy, especially in the bedroom?
Oh my gosh, please go there. I want to know, how does it, like, what is that like? I mean, how did you feel the first time?
So there was a little bit of a shift, right? Because I before was just like, hey, here I am, let's go, hubby, let's go, babe. And now I do rely more on bralettes for myself. My husband doesn't care. He is so sweet. He's like, whatever, honey. Granted, there is still some, we miss them once in a while, let's just be honest. But you guys, bralettes and even little like nighties or whatever, you can find them very flat. And I tell you what, sometimes I'll stick on a cute little bralette and then a little like cardigan and just a high pair of leggings and just kind of walk around the house for a little bit. I have never felt so dang sexy in my life. Like, holy cow.
That is great.
And it's nice because I don't have to worry about falling out or nipping out or anything like that. I'm just like, hello, here I
am. No wardrobe malfunctions for you at all.
None.
That is so great to hear. And I think that this is going to be such a powerful show and episode, especially for those women who either have that genetic predisposition to cancer and are considering, the removal of the breast tissue, or there are many women out there who did go through chemo and breast cancer and were able to fight it, but they got the breast implants. And some of them are now going through the horrific aspect of breast implant illness. In fact, I do know of one gal that said that she feels that the physical aspects of breast implant illness were harder for her than the breast cancer was. And I mean, I certainly don't ever want to compare that for anybody. That was just her journey. But I just feel such compassion for those women. Not only did you go through breast cancer and have to go through all of the emotional and physical aspects of that, but now you're dealing with breast implant illness on top of this. And for them to understand that there is another option, and that's simply to not have breast tissue, to not have any breasts at all or nipple, and that it's okay, and you're alive, you're moving forward, you're not only alive, but tell me what your life is like now compared to when you had implants. Tell us some of the things that have shifted for you.
Okay, so many things have shifted. I go out on hikes now. I did an incredible hike with some of my friends. We hiked up to the top of this mountain and sat in some hot pools, and the scenery was off the charts gorgeous. I couldn't go get groceries before. I couldn't walk my kids to the bus stop before. I couldn't do anything. We've been traveling. We've been taking the kids and we've been traveling and showing them things. I went sledding this winter. Like, I actually went sledding. I can't wait to go camping this summer. And I know that these things are just going to continue to grow and grow as these experiences that I get to experience life, because I am 6 months out from my explant / mastectomy. Okay. So 6 months out. And then I did go back in for a revision surgery. What did we say, about 10 days ago? So there still has been a lot of healing and, surgical restrictions that I've worked around, but I have lived more in these 6 months than I probably did the last 10 years.
It is unbelievable to hear the changes that you experience and so many others. And I think that's why this mission is so important to me because I know my sisters need to live life again. I know that they can't show up with those gifts that they were given and really bless the world with those gifts if they don't feel good. If they can't go grocery shopping, they certainly can't show up and help others and serve others and live a life of joy. And you are a walking testimonial that it can shift, it can change, that there's hope out there. And for that woman or that man that's listening to this podcast that says, oh my goodness, this may be the answer. This may be the answer. And I'm going to share this with my loved one that is suffering so much. And maybe this is the start of having a second chance at life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And where I am super passionate, and you just said that so beautifully, is to help my sisters, but especially those who have been through breast cancer and who are so scared to get their implants removed, or who are feeling certain symptoms or experiencing symptoms and feelings, but chalking it up to, it must be because of the chemo or because of the radiation or because of my cancer. To just take a second and just explore this. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't feel right now, I've been there. Yeah. It's okay. We've all been there. It's okay if it doesn't feel right now. It's okay if this idea of breast implant illness doesn't feel right in 6 months. And it's okay if it doesn't feel right ever. But at least explore it and see.
Exactly. So Lacey, thank you so much for spending this time today, sharing your story, sharing your hope, sharing your vision. If someone wanted to reach out to you personally and ask you some questions, how could they get in touch with you? What would be the best way?
Oh, absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook under Lacey Marie. Mm-hmm. I have a business page, a public page, and a personal profile. Feel free to reach out to me anywhere on Facebook that you can find me. But Lacey Marie, just look for the crazy short pixie cut. And then on Instagram, I am on Instagram as life.unbroken.
Oh, that's beautiful. And one last note, we got to tell everybody.
Yes.
You got something happening really soon on a stage, and it's not just any stage. What kind of stage is it, Lacey?
Yes, I am so excited, but I've been selected to be a speaker on TEDx Idaho Falls stage on March 7th.
Unbelievable. And I'm going to be in the audience cheering you on and just glowing out there. I am so excited for you to share your story about breast implant illness, about learning how to embrace yourself, regardless of whether or not you have breasts or not. And do you have a title yet?
So my title, I'm boobless and fabulous.
Woohoo! I love that. Okay. That's actually what I'm going to name this podcast episode. There you go.
That's perfect. Yes. Boobless and fabulous. Cause life sure got a lot better when I became boobless.
Oh, that's fantastic. So with that being said, thank you again so much for being here today. And for those that are listening, a reminder, like this episode, review this episode, share, because the more you share and the more individuals are led to this resource, the more women we can reach and help her to not experience one more day with those mystery illnesses, that she does have options in front of her, and we are all here rooting her on. So with that being said, thank you. And we can't wait to see you in a future episode of Killer Boobies.
Thank you for listening. Spread the word by subscribing, liking, and sharing the Killer Boobies podcast today. You could be the person who helps someone reverse their pain and suffering and reclaim their health today.